Good morning, Ronto. This is Double Radio, and as always, I'm Conrad Getz. Well, last I checked, that's who I am. It's a great day out there, and I've got some big news to report on, so let's get rolling, shall we? As I said, it's looking like a great day out, with some of that insane snow finally starting to melt a bit. I never thought I would be hoping for a heat wave, but after digging out of the station multiple times last month, I'm happy to finally be able to get out and stretch my legs a little more. Of course, I'm still keeping cautious, since that winter snap can always hit as hard as a power fist again. Suffice to say, I'd still keep some shovels and heat sources on hand, just in case. With the weather improving, I'm tentatively planning out my trip to Vault 416 in the next couple months. Lily and Overseer McGregor have contacted me a few times since that first holotape showed up, and the talks have been pretty good. I'm getting the feeling that the whole vault is working on getting better about opening up, at least for trade caravans. They've got security trained in case of raiders or any other never-do-wells, which is a great plan since up that way does tend to get some unsavory individuals roaming about. I'm definitely going to make sure I've got some weapons with me, just in case. But I am pretty excited. I've got lots to plan for, and we'll be dropping some caps at Eaton Central, and maybe even the reference library market since my stocks are running low when it comes to longer hikes. Hunter will still be around, since Wayne is needing some repairs and upgrades. He also says he doesn't see a ghoul being too welcome at the vault, but I don't know. I think it'd be fine, especially since he'd be with me. At any rate, he'll be here, which means I can leave Notch with him when I do head out that way. With that nicer weather hopefully on the way, there's been rumors of some new creatures making their way to the area. A recent report from some Wastelanders camping out in and around the Algonquin region up north have claimed to see some Deathclaws in the area, or at least a Deathclaw, since they left pretty quickly to avoid the danger and didn't really want to deal with the risk of there being a pack of them. Now, this is the first I've heard of anything like that being anywhere this far north, which is really interesting to me. Deathclaws usually stick to warmer, more humid areas, so finding even just one up north in the snow and cold is a bit of a shock. I mean, I grew up hearing talk of them potentially being spotted pre-war, but I never really believed those stories. It just sounds too scary to me that these would have been roaming around somewhere before the bombs dropped. Where would they even have lived where they wouldn't have been a danger to regular people? But to be on the safe side, I'd recommend caution traveling in that area. I mean, if you can avoid going up that way altogether, it'd probably be best, but sometimes you just need to traipse through a Deathclaw nest to see what you can do in a life or death situation, am I right? Unfortunately, speaking of life or death situations, there was a massive shootout between some Super Mutants and CPF soldiers out near the Scar earlier this week. Not sure entirely what sparked the fight, but from the reports I've heard, they seem to lean towards the Super Mutants trying to push more towards Ronto proper, and the CPF making an effort to keep that from happening. Luckily, the soldiers managed to stand their ground, but not without suffering some losses themselves. 4 CPF soldiers were killed, and 3 seem to be missing, with the common assumption that they either fled the battle to save themselves, or that they were also killed but hauled off with the mutants to be a snack for later. I don't know about anyone else out there, but I've actually been finding myself feeling pretty confident in how much Ronto as a whole is coming together lately. I mean, I never have found myself liking soldiers of any kind, but the efforts of the CPF, the communities around town, and hell, even the Brotherhood have been keeping things safe from the dangers of the wasteland. I can rest knowing that if something happens, there's a multitude of people ready to fight and protect everything we've managed to build out here. And honestly, that's pretty sweet. To top off this bit of news, the tentative truce between the Brotherhood and CPF around Eaton Central has been reinstated after all that business with the transit station. From what I've heard, the truce was arranged in order to fortify the defenses around Eaton Central, just in case any of these Super Mutants try to make their way into the town. Of course, I would love to see that sort of energy carry over with other folks outside of Eaton Central into defending other areas of the city, but who knows. Maybe this is just the start. As long as we don't lose sight of the things that are still there to bring us together, then it's all good. So, Ronto. Do you all remember a few months back when I reported on the Gold Star Nuka Maple caps that were a sought-after trinket before the bombs dropped? And you know, how I was searching for some because, well, I like interesting caps? Well, it turns out I'm most definitely not the only one. and I haven't been for quite some time from the sounds of things. Turns out there's a bit of an underground ring of cap hunters that have been feverishly looking for those same caps for a few years now, hoping to get whatever treasure is hidden under Nuka World North with them. The exact amount required is still unknown, but that isn't stopping anyone. Of course, this was news to me, but I had heard some rumblings that someone is offering a better rate to purchase any gold stars from wastelanders that come across them. This constant buttering has now had the opposite effect, launching even more people out there to cling to their caps and try to seek the treasure if there is one. I should have suspected this would happen, since people get downright violent over blue stars out in the Mojave, and they're a much smaller soda brand. At any rate, the hunt is starting to kick it up, causing some slight mayhem at all sorts of trading posts from Niagara as far east as Quebec. Everyone is starting to get feverish for these caps, starting fights over bottles of Nuka Maple, and scrounging through caps when they trade if they catch even a hint of gold in there. It's almost concerning, but I also think this might blow over in a matter of weeks, since there's always more important things to worry about in the wasteland. Of course, there will still be dedicated cap hunters, especially the ones trying to outbid me, but the common scavengers will probably give up and focus on survival before long. All that being said, I'll make sure to update everyone with occasional news I hear on this, like if there's anyone that's managed to find a certain amount of caps, or if there's any sort of new info regarding how many one needs to finally find the prize or prizes. For now, that's all I got, Ronto. I've got some tidying up to do around here before Hunter and I head into Eaton Central for some supplies and maybe a night out. Rumor has it that there might be some sort of shindig happening at the Horseshoe, which is under new management after Queenie's Raiders gave it up to focus on the Scav Panda problems they've been having. Apparently as well, Hunter might even know the bartender, so he can get us in. This has been Conrad Getz for Double Double Radio, signing off. Stay safe out there, Ronto. Double Double Radio, A Fallout Story, is a Voice in the Static production, written, starring, and produced by Edward Grimgrinner Hutchinson. You can find Double Double Radio on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media sites, and there's a merch store through Etsy. Links are in the episode description. Double Double Radio is also made possible with the love and support of listeners and wastelanders like you. If you want to help support the show on Patreon, that link will also be in the description alongside the list of monthly supporters.